Hey guys, Yummy here again, bringing you the first episode of a new series in which I discuss controversial events in the world of video games with other YouTubers. Today, we're going to be discussing the graphics downgrading controversy, especially in PC games, and today I'm here with Major Meteor, another Battlefield YouTuber. Say hello, Major.
Hello.
Yeah, there he is. Alright, and the biggest culprit of graphics downgrading is Ubisoft, especially with Watch Dogs 2 years ago, and that was a huge controversy when that game came out, especially after the fantastic gameplay reveal that we had at E3 2013. What are your thoughts, Major?
Well, I think the biggest sort of kick in the arse about this was that the graphics options were still in the game when it came out, because modders delved in and found the graphics options and were able to turn them on and make it look pretty again. But even when you turned them on, it made the game so unstable that it was virtually unplayable unless you had a beast PC. And I honestly don't know why Ubisoft would turn this off, because it seems unless they couldn't optimize it, although the game was unstable even without them options anyway. So we're not quite sure why they would turn off the options other than for the console reasons, and I think that's why quite a lot of people were butthurt about Watch Dogs when it came out, especially on the PC.
Yeah, the thing was, the game looked really ugly and it was really unstable at the same time. It was terrible frame rates, but there was no reason for the frame rates to be as bad, or with as bad as the textures looked. There was no reason for that. And, I mean, shutting off the graphics like that is what is it, on-disc DLC with the Marvel vs. Capcom from a couple years ago or something like that, yeah, where they actually had the stuff on the disc, but it was just sectioned off until you paid for it, which was really sleazy. But Ubisoft has a real problem with PC games. They tend to downgrade the graphics a lot to just make it the same with consoles, and I don't really understand why they do this. It seems to be it really pisses off the PC community, and they're probably going to stop purchasing their games, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft have gotten quite a lot of stick for this in the past, and it especially with PC, and it's not just because of the graphics as well. It's also because of the stupid DRM system that they force down our throats just to buy their own games. Uplay is virtually unusable. And it's gotten to the point now where it's actually easier to pirate their own games than it is to go through the process of purchasing their games through Uplay. The process, if you want to buy something through Uplay, you have to have half an hour of time, some reading glasses, and balls of steel, because it's a painful process to buy something through Uplay. Whereas if you pirate it, you just download it off the pirate website. It's as simple as that. So
yeah, the Uplay is the most aggressive, definitely, of all of those new what are they called, browser markets, or I don't even know, Steam and Origin. Origin and Steam are way better than Uplay, because Uplay tries to make you force you to have it open while you're playing the game. You can't even exit out of it, and you have to save your games through it. So if Uplay crashes or something like that, all of the progress you just made was completely lost. And that is extremely annoying. I mean, it's really invasive, and it makes you feel like you don't actually own the game.
Yeah, I think the worst part about it is that because it's always online, you can't play it offline. So if you lose the internet connection, as you said, you'll lose your entire save progress. And it's also really irritating because you can buy some Ubisoft games through Steam, which might make it sound a little bit better. But it really isn't, because then all it does is when you click play on Steam, it just opens up Uplay, and you have to play it through Uplay anyway. So it's really a stupid system, and I honestly don't know why Ubisoft are still using it now, to be honest.
Yeah, but back to the graphics downgrading. The Division, which was a hugely anticipated title ever since it was revealed 2 years ago. It was revealed a long time ago, and it's been delayed many times. And at E3 this year, the graphics were actually very noticeably less good than they were in previous E3s. They were actually pretty muddy, more closely to Watch Dogs release graphics. Of course, they are better because it's 2015 now, but they still look considerably worse than released. And Now the game looks like it's not going to be anything near as it was hyped up to be, and end up being like a Destiny repeat. Now it's going to be different from Destiny, definitely, but it's still going to be. It's going to be disappointing. A lot of people are really skeptical about the game now, even people who were supporting it before.
Yeah, I used to be moderately excited about this. I knew it existed and it was on my radar, but now I've sort of forgotten about it, mainly because of like the many delays it has. But I'm also not entirely sure what sort of game this is, because it seems like it's been trying to be a lot of things, kind of like Destiny, as you said. It's trying to be sort of like an MMO, trying to be a bit of a third-person cover shooter, and it seems to be more like a jack of all trades, and it might be a master of none. We don't know until it comes out, of course, but that seems to be the sort of general consensus that I'm getting from it, at least.
And another game that was graphically downgraded, but definitely wasn't to the extent of Watch Dogs, was The Witcher 3. Now, of course, the game still looks amazing, and it's definitely a front-runner for Game of the Year, because it's absolutely massive. And the graphics downgrade was definitely required for consoles, like even the Xbox One and PS4. The downgrade was definitely necessary, but for PC, it was like, should they make it available to have that maxed out graphic settings shown at gameplay reveals for the PC, for PCs that can handle it?
Witcher 3 was an interesting one, because I've put a hell of a lot of time into The Witcher 3, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't really notice the graphics like downgrade as like, I don't constantly think about it. It is there when you compare the two, but it's not something that I would like compare. I would constantly think about. But the developers, CD Projekt Red, came up with quite a good sort of counter argument to this, and that's that if they had made the graphics as pretty as possible, and only put it on PC, they wouldn't have had the budget from like Microsoft and Sony. They wouldn't have had the budget to make it as big and expansive as they did, with all like the expansive maps and the sheer amount of quests and all of that. So it's kind of, the developers have got a tricky situation where they have to try and find a fine balance between, do they make the game pretty, or do they make it rich with content but pig ugly?
Yeah, it's definitely better, as you were saying in one of your previous videos for Fallout 4, to like have the game at a moderate graphical level, and then at release date being like far better than what was revealed, instead of doing this reverse fashion that pretty much just ends in everyone being completely disappointed. Now, I know the gameplay is what matters in most games, but people love looking at pretty things, and if the things look ugly when the game comes out, like tons of people are gonna lose interest in the game.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few games that have found that medium where it looks beautiful and yet the gameplay is really tight and really engaging. I think Battlefield 4, even though like it's almost 2 years on now, that still looks really pretty. It has its glitches at times, but I think especially with the cinematic tools, you can make that engine look absolutely gorgeous. And Witcher 3 is another one of them that, even though it was downgraded, it still looks absolutely gorgeous, even in its current state.
Yeah, and it's stable too. And the Battlefield 4's graphics aren't like the absolute best, but they're still really good. It's like in the style that you do them. They may not be at the textual fidelity of other games, but it does what it needs to make it look as good as possible and still run stable. Because a lot of the Ubisoft's games, whenever they come out on PC, they have absolute shit frame rates, and it crashes all the time. Now, Battlefield 4 crashed a lot, but that was client side more than because of the engine itself. But that was just a problem with Ubisoft games, is whenever they come out, they're extremely unstable, and it takes them months to fix practically every single game that they release.
Yeah, Witcher 3 is very, very stable. I don't think I've actually had the only crashes I've had is from when I've modded it, and it's and that's my own fault. But the vanilla game, I don't think I've ever had a single crash. Frame drops, I've had very, very minimal, and that's only in like the really intense scenes in like the final boss fights. So the fact that Ubisoft games are really sort of unstable for no apparent reason, that's where you kind of feel like what the hell? What's the point, and why is this sort of stuff happening? It kind of feels like Ubisoft are neglecting PC, because I don't know about console, because I don't play on console that much, but I don't see the sort of like the frame drops and the graphical issues there on console, whereas on PC it seems like it's a much more like big issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say like the solution to what we would agree on as being the solution for this downgrading stuff would just be to not like freaking show off the graphics as being better than what you're actually going to release them as. I mean, it's really annoying that the game looks completely unrealistically amazing when they reveal it. And now it's pretty much just expected that they're going to downgrade the graphics, and it's going to be disappointing for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I said like something like this in my Fallout video, is that when Bethesda released the Fallout 4 gameplay, it didn't look spectacular, and a lot of people raged about that on the internet, but I think that that's actually a really, really good thing, because at least they can't get any worse, so we're not going to get like disappointed when it comes out and say, oh, these graphics are worse than what they were when we first saw it. But I think that's a good way that Bethesda's doing it.
Yeah, and it's definitely not going to end up in your company getting a class action lawsuit against it, like
yeah.
Ubisoft got for Watch Dogs, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like almost a criminal level lying whenever you show off a game like that.
It's false advertising.
Don't deliver. Yeah, it definitely is, and Ubisoft isn't like the guys who made Witcher 3. Like they're not thinking about that. Ubisoft cares about the money, so they're going to try to get as many pre-orders as possible. Like I actually pre-ordered Watch Dogs like 2 days before it came out, and that was a huge mistake. I don't think I've played it in like a year.
I think I like Watch Dogs. I think it was a good game at the core. I think it was a bit too long, maybe, but the controversy around it kind of just sort of shifted people's perception of it into like kind of like, oh, it's a bad game. It's been in the press quite a lot, but I think like the core gameplay was decent. It's like the Assassin's Creed games. They have it at the core. They're good games, but they're kind of repetitive each year, and because they're in the news all the time, people's like the public perception of these games is that they just keep getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and it's like Unity now. I still play Unity because the frame rate's actually pretty good now, and I mean it's actually a pretty decent game. I don't think it's the worst Assassin's Creed game there's been.
It's not as bad as 3.
It's actually a pretty good game. It's just like I think Ubisoft's just ruining these studios with its false advertising. Like that's just what's turning off so many players when the game is released.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we pretty much covered this topic. So if you guys like this, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And until next time, this is Mummy. Goodbye and good hunting.